Have you ever looked at your blood pressure numbers and wondered which one is secretly putting you in danger? The top number or the bottom number? Most seniors check their blood pressure because they want reassurance. They want to know if they are safe. But here is the truth that surprises many people. One of these numbers can quietly rise for years without obvious symptoms and suddenly cause major problems. The other number can spike fast and still be just as dangerous even if it looks small at first. Yet most seniors do not know which one they should take more seriously. Today, you will know the truth because the answer is not what many people think. And as we go through this together, stay with me because I will reveal the one combination of numbers that every senior should watch for. It is often ignored, but it is actually one of the strongest early warning signs of future heart trouble. Most doctors never explain this clearly, but once you understand it, you will never look at your blood pressure the same way again. Imagine this moment. You visit a clinic. The nurse wraps the cuff around your arm. You hear the machine beep. Then you see the numbers. One is slightly higher than usual, one is lower. You start wondering, is this good? Is this bad? Should I worry? Should I ignore it? Most seniors feel this confusion, but very few get clear answers. And because of that, many people live with anxiety about their heart. They fear every reading, and sometimes they ignore the readings that actually matter. But here is the good news. Today, you are not just getting an explanation. You are getting clarity. You are getting confidence. You are getting the ability to look at your blood pressure and instantly understand what is happening inside your arteries. Once you learn this, you will feel a weight lift off your shoulders because you will finally know which number demands attention and why number 3 is the one that surprises most people. So stay with me. Now let me quickly introduce myself so you know who you are learning from. I am Dr. Sandra Serrati, and for more than 25 years, I have helped older adults understand their health in simple, calm ways that remove fear and increase confidence. My goal is not to scare you. My goal is to empower you. I know how overwhelming health information can feel, especially when numbers are involved. I have sat with seniors who cried because they thought they were in danger when they were actually safe. And I have also met seniors who believed everything was normal when their numbers were quietly signaling something far more serious. That is why this topic matters. Because the more you understand your numbers, the more control you gain over your future. Today, you will learn the real difference between systolic and diastolic pressure. You will learn why one number becomes more dangerous after age 60. You will learn when the bottom number becomes the bigger threat. And you will learn the exact pattern that doctors look for when assessing long-term risk. By the end of this video, you will be able to read your own numbers with expert-level understanding. You will know what to watch for how to manage them and how to prevent the hidden complications seniors often face. So let us begin with something simple. What exactly is the top number telling you? The systolic pressure is the pressure in your arteries when your heart squeezes blood out. Think of your heart like a small pump. Each time it contracts, it pushes blood forward, and that push creates a force against your artery walls. That force is your systolic pressure. It shows how hard your heart must work to move blood through your body. As we age, arteries stiffen naturally. They lose flexibility, and when they do, the heart must push harder. That makes the systolic number slowly rise over time. Now here is the important part. For seniors, the systolic number is often the more dangerous one. This is because it reflects the pressure your arteries feel with every beat of your heart. Imagine a garden hose that becomes stiff and narrow. The water pressure inside rises. That is what happens inside aging arteries. And that constant pressure is what increases the risk of heart attack, stroke, kidney damage, and vision problems. This is why doctors pay very close attention to systolic pressure in older adults. If the top number stays high for too long, the strain adds up like wear and tear on a machine. But here is where the story changes. Many seniors believe the bottom number is not important. but that is not true. In fact, a low diastolic number can be just as dangerous. The diastolic pressure is the pressure when your heart relaxes between beats. This is the moment your arteries refill with blood. If the bottom number goes too low, your heart muscle may not get the steady oxygen-rich blood it needs. This can actually increase the risk of heart problems, especially when the systolic number is high and the diastolic number is low. This combination is something I will explain fully later because it is number 3 on our list, and it is one of the most overlooked signs seniors need to watch for. Here is a simple way to understand it. When your systolic number is high, your arteries feel too much pressure. But when your diastolic number is too low, your heart does not receive enough nourishment. Both of these situations can be dangerous for different reasons. But one becomes far more common after age 60. It is called isolated systolic hypertension. This means only the top number is high, while the bottom number stays normal or even low. Seniors experience this because their arteries stiffen as part of aging, and when arteries stiffen, the systolic number rises faster and higher than the diastolic number. Many seniors do not even know they have this because they feel fine. But inside, the constant pounding pressure slowly damages organs. Before we go deeper, let me create a picture you can see in your mind. Think of your arteries like shock absorbers. When you are young, they are flexible. They expand and contract with every heartbeat. This keeps pressure smooth and steady. But with age, those absorbers become stiff. They cannot cushion the pressure properly, so every heartbeat becomes a harder push. That added force is what raises the systolic number, and that is why high systolic pressure becomes one of the strongest predictors of heart risk for seniors. But we are not stopping here, because there is another twist. Some seniors ignore slightly high systolic pressure because their diastolic number looks normal. They think the bottom number is the one to worry about. But studies show the opposite. A systolic number that is even 10 points above normal can be far more dangerous than a slightly elevated diastolic number. Why? Because the systolic number reflects the overall strain on your arteries, and that strain is what leads to long-term damage. You might be thinking, this is enough to understand the difference, but it is not. There is a deeper layer that most people never learn, and this layer is where the biggest danger hides. It is the gap between the two numbers known as pulse pressure. This is what I mentioned earlier as the overlooked combination, and it is number 3 on our list of dangers, because a wide gap can actually reveal more risk than either number alone. This pulse pressure concept is one of the most powerful predictors of future heart issues, especially for seniors. And once you understand it, you will look at your readings differently forever, so stay with me. For now, let us continue with the core question seniors ask. Which number should worry me the most? The answer is simple but powerful. For people over 60, the systolic number is usually the one that carries the greatest danger when it rises. But the diastolic number becomes dangerous when it falls too low. Think of high systolic as too much pressure and low diastolic as too little support for your heart muscle. Both extremes matter, but they affect your body differently. Let us go into practical examples because examples make this easy to follow. Imagine a senior named Robert. His reading is 150/80. The bottom number looks fine, but the top number is clearly high. This reading tells us that his arteries are stiff and his heart is pushing harder than it should. Even though Robert feels no pain, the long-term risk is real. Now imagine someone else named Helen. Her reading is 120/58. The top number looks okay, but the bottom number is too low. This suggests that during the relaxation phase of the heart, blood flow to the heart muscle may not be enough. This can result in chest discomfort, fatigue, dizziness, or even heart trouble over time. Here is another example. A senior named George takes his reading and sees 148/60. This is the combination most people miss. The systolic number is high. the diastolic number is low, and the gap between them is huge. This wide pulse pressure is one of the biggest warning signs that arteries have stiffened significantly. It can indicate elevated risk even if each number alone does not look extreme. And this is why doctors take this pattern seriously, because it signals that the heart is working too hard while not receiving enough steady blood between beats. Now let us go deeper into why systolic pressure rises with age. When you are younger, your arteries contain elastic fibers. These fibers stretch easily and help absorb pressure. But as you get older, these fibers wear down, they become stiff, they calcify, and they cannot expand as easily. When that happens, the systolic pressure rises. And here is the surprising part. Even seniors who live very healthy lives can still experience this because arterial stiffening is a natural part of aging. The goal is not to eliminate it. The goal is to manage it. The moment you start doing things that support artery flexibility, your numbers often improve. But what about diastolic pressure? Why does it sometimes drop too low? For many seniors, low diastolic pressure happens when arteries stiffen, but the heart still relaxes quickly. If the arteries cannot fill properly between beats, the pressure drops. Low diastolic pressure can also occur with dehydration over medication or conditions that reduce blood volume. Most seniors worry only about high numbers, but low numbers, especially below 60, should not be ignored. They can reduce blood flow to the heart muscle itself, and over time, this can increase the risk of heart issues. Here is something else you should know, because it surprises most people. A diastolic number that is a little high, such as above 80, is not as dangerous for seniors as a systolic number that is a little high. The reason is simple. Diastolic pressure reflects resistance in small arteries, but systolic pressure reflects stress on your large arteries and organs, and that organ stress is what leads to long-term complications. That is why doctors focus much more on the top number for people over 60. But before I reveal the biggest danger of all, let us connect back to the central question. Which blood pressure number is more dangerous? For seniors, the systolic number is generally the more serious one when it is elevated, but the diastolic number becomes dangerous when it is too low, and the gap between them can sometimes matter even more than either number alone. This gap reveals how stiff your arteries truly are. And if the gap becomes too large, it can indicate elevated risk even when the individual numbers do not look extreme. Now we move into the next layer, which is how these numbers behave throughout the day. Many seniors notice that their morning numbers are higher. This is normal because blood pressure tends to rise after waking. Hormones shift. Blood vessels tighten slightly, and the heart begins working harder after resting all night. But if your morning systolic number is consistently 20 points higher than your afternoon number, that is something to watch. It may indicate that your arteries are not relaxing properly overnight, and that pattern has been linked in studies to higher cardiovascular risk. You might wonder if it is normal for blood pressure to change throughout the day. The answer is yes. But large swings, especially in the systolic number, can mean your arteries are reacting strongly to stress, dehydration, or poor sleep. On the other hand, a diastolic number that drops too low throughout the day, especially below 60, can lead to dizziness, weakness, or fatigue. Seniors often dismiss these symptoms as age-related, but many times they come from low diastolic pressure. Let us explore why this matters. Your heart receives its own blood supply not during the squeeze, but during the relaxation phase. That means the diastolic number is actually the pressure that feeds the heart muscle. So if ETO number drops too low, the heart may not get enough blood. Imagine watering a garden. If water pressure is weak, the roots never get fully soaked. The same happens in your heart. This is why a diastolic number below 60 can be a red flag, especially when the systolic number is high. I want to pause here and give you a quick retention moment because the next part is where the biggest reveal comes. What I am about to share is the exact blood pressure pattern doctors consider high risk for seniors even when both individual numbers look normal at first glance. Stay with me because understanding this one detail can completely change how you look at your readings from now on. And this brings us to the concept I mentioned earlier called pulse pressure. This is the difference between the top number and the bottom number. A normal pulse pressure is about 40 points. When that difference grows larger than 60 points, it can indicate reduced artery flexibility. For seniors, this is one of the clearest signs of arterial stiffness, and it is one of the earliest predictors of future heart problems, even when symptoms are mild or non-existent. Many seniors only focus on the individual numbers, but ignoring the gap is like reading a book and skipping the most important chapter. Let us use a simple example to make this extremely clear. Imagine your reading is 140/70. Some people would say that does not look too bad, but the pulse pressure is 70. That is a wide gap. And for seniors, a wide gap signals stiff arteries. It means the heart is working harder with each beat while receiving less support between beats. Now imagine the opposite. Your reading is 120/80. The numbers look normal, and the pulse pressure is 40. That means your arteries are absorbing pressure well, and your heart is receiving steady blood flow during relaxation. This is why pulse pressure matters. It reveals how healthy your arteries truly are. Let us continue building this understanding because clarity is what keeps you safe. If your systolic number rises, your arteries are under stress. If your diastolic number drops, your heart is underfed. And if the gap widens, your arteries are stiffening. These three insights create a complete picture of your cardiovascular health. But what you do with this information is what truly matters. Because now that you know the meaning of your numbers, it is time to learn how to manage them effectively. Not through fear, not through confusion, but through simple daily actions that support your arteries and help your numbers move toward a safer range. Before we go into the action plan, let us break 3 common myths that confuse seniors about blood pressure. These myths lead people to focus on the wrong things. They create unnecessary fear, and they prevent people from taking the right steps. Once we clear these out of the way, your understanding will become stronger than ever. The first myth is that the bottom number is always the more dangerous one. This belief comes from older medical teachings before we understood arterial stiffness clearly. But now studies show that for seniors, the top number is often the strongest predictor of risk. The systolic pressure is what rises with age because of stiff arteries, and that rise is what leads to long-term damage. So the idea that the bottom number is always worse is simply not correct for people over 60. The second myth is the belief that slightly high systolic pressure is harmless if you feel fine. Many seniors assume no symptoms means no danger. But high systolic pressure often produces no symptoms at all. It rises quietly. It causes damage slowly. And by the time symptoms appear, the risk may already be high. Feeling fine is not a reliable sign of safety. The only reliable sign is the number you see on the screen. The third myth is the idea that low diastolic pressure is always good. Many seniors think a low bottom number means smoother blood flow. But as we discussed, diastolic pressure is what feeds the heart muscle itself. If it drops too low, the heart may not get enough oxygenated blood. That creates risks, especially when combined with high systolic pressure. So a low diastolic number below 60 is not always a good thing. It can actually be a warning sign. Now that we have cleared up these myths, let us shift into solutions. This is the part where we turn understanding into action. And as we go through these steps, pay attention because each one supports your arteries in a different way. And the combination of these steps can dramatically change your blood pressure readings over the next 30, 60, and 90 days. First, let us talk about hydration. Many seniors do not drink enough water. Dehydration thickens your blood. When blood becomes thicker, the heart must work harder to push it through stiff arteries. This raises the systolic number. Hydration also helps prevent overly low diastolic pressure by keeping blood volume stable. When your body is properly hydrated, your blood pressure becomes more steady throughout the day. A simple target is 6 to 8 cups of water daily, unless your doctor has given you a different limit. Next, let us talk about movement. You do not need intense exercise. Gentle, consistent movement is enough to soften arteries and improve blood vessel flexibility. Even a 10-minute walk twice a day signals your arteries to expand and relax. This lowers systolic pressure naturally. Movement also improves circulation to the heart muscle, which keeps diastolic pressure stable. Think of your arteries as muscles. They respond to use. When you move, they relax. When you stay still, they stiffen. The third action is to increase foods that improve arterial elasticity. Foods rich in potassium, magnesium, and antioxidants are particularly helpful. Bananas, leafy greens, oranges, avocados, nuts, seeds, and berries support blood vessel relaxation. These foods help the arteries handle pressure more smoothly. They also help lower systolic pressure without dropping diastolic pressure too low. Eating these regularly creates better balance between the two numbers. The fourth action is to reduce salt gradually rather than suddenly. Seniors often try to cut salt completely, which can cause diastolic pressure to fall too low. Instead, aim for a slow reduction so the body adjusts naturally. Most seniors will see improvements within 2 to 4 weeks of steady changes. The fifth action is managing stress. Stress tightens your arteries instantly. You may feel fine mentally, but physically, stress makes your systolic number jump. Simple breathing exercises, slow music, quiet time, or spending a few minutes outdoors can calm your nervous system and relax your vessels. This is one of the fastest ways to influence your numbers immediately. The sixth action is improving sleep quality. Poor sleep raises morning blood pressure significantly, especially the systolic number. Creating a gentle bedtime routine, such as light stretching, warm herbal tea, or soft breathing, can help bring your readings back into a safer range. Many seniors report noticeable improvement after only 10 to 14 days of better sleep practices. Now, let us bring all of this into a simple weekly routine that you can easily follow. We are not aiming for perfection. We are aiming for small steps that create large change over time. Here is your 72-hour reset. For the next 3 days, drink water steadily throughout the day. Take 2 short walks daily, include 1 blood vessel-friendly food in each meal, and turn off screens 1 hour before bed. Just these steps alone often reduce systolic pressure by 5 to 10 points for many seniors. Here is your 14-day improvement plan. Continue your walks, increase leafy greens or fruit intake practice. Slow breathing for 3 to 5 minutes every evening and keep a small record of your morning and evening readings. Patterns will become clearer. You may notice your morning number starting to drop slightly. You may notice your diastolic number stabilizing. Here is your 30-day artery support blueprint. Add stretching or light chair exercises 2 to 3 days per week. Increase potassium-rich foods. Maintain consistent hydration and reduce highly salty processed foods. By day 30, many seniors experience improved pulse pressure, meaning the gap between the numbers narrows. This is one of the strongest signs that your arteries are responding positively. Lastly, here is your 90-day transformation outlook. Over 3 months of consistent, gentle habits, your arteries can regain some flexibility, your systolic number can stabilize, and your diastolic number can move into a better range. This is not magic. It is biology. Arteries respond to consistency, and within 90 days, you can create noticeable differences in how your heart feels, how stable your energy is, and how confident you feel reading your numbers each morning. Now let us bring this home with hope. Because understanding your blood pressure is not about fear, it is about empowerment. Imagine yourself 90 days from now. You wake up in the morning, wrap the cuff around your arm, and see a reading that no longer worries you. You see a number that feels stable and familiar. You understand exactly what it means. You know why the top number matters. You know why the bottom number matters. You know how to keep them balanced. You feel calm. You feel protected. You feel in control of your health rather than confused by it. That is the gift of knowledge. And today, you received clarity that many seniors search for. You learned that the systolic number is the greater danger when it rises. You learned that the diastolic number becomes a danger when it falls too low. You learned that the gap between the two numbers, pulse pressure, can reveal more about your artery health than either number alone. And you learned how simple daily habits can support your heart and improve your future. If this video gave you clarity, I invite you to like this video so more seniors can find it. Tell me your age and your last blood pressure reading in the comments so I know who I am helping. And make sure you subscribe because I release videos designed specifically for seniors who want calm, trustworthy guidance. After this video, make sure you watch my next one. It will help you understand how to protect your arteries even further and what subtle signs to watch for that most seniors ignore until it is too late.